The story of a mother's love. Once there lived a poor woman with her child in a small house. Her child was sick and weak. One day the mother sat, sadly, watching her sick little child lying in his bed. He was quite pale and his eyes were closed. He breathed so softly that the mother wondered if he had passed on or was still with her. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door, and an old man wrapped in a large coat came in. He was Death. Death sat down beside the bed with the mother. Death helped to rock the cradle, for the mother was very tired. The mother asked,
"He will live, won't he? Surely God will not take him away from me."
Death didn't answer. The mother looked down. Her eyes were full of tears, and her head was heavy. She was so tired that she slept for only a moment. When she woke up, Death had gone and taken her child. In desperation, the mother jumped up and rushed into the forest, but she didn't know where to go.
Oh no!
She saw a thorn bush and asked,
"Have you seen Death go by with my little child?" "Yes, but you must warm me first in your arms, for I am freezing to death here. Then I will tell you,"
replied the thorn bush. The mother agreed. She held the thorn bush close, and the thorns made her bleed. The bush got warmth from the mother's heart. Then the thorn bush said,
"Take the path to the right."
The mother hurried down the path and came to a lake. She couldn't cross it as it was too wide and too cold. The lake said, "You have the purest eyes I have ever seen. If you give them to me, I will take you across to the other side." The mother agreed. Immediately, the lake carried her across to the other side as if she were on a swing. On the other side, she came to a very long greenhouse, which was full of flowers. This was where Death cared for the flowers, each of which being a human life. The mother was now blind, so she could only walk from flower to flower to listen to their heartbeat. Finally, she found the little flower that was her child. The mother cried out. An old lady who cared for the plants came to the mother and said,
"I can help you save your child, but what will you give me in exchange?"
The mother said,
"I have nothing left to give. Give me your long black hair."
The old lady said. The mother agreed right away in hope of finding out how to get her child back. The woman told her,
"When Death comes back, you must threaten to rip up some of the flowers. Death will be afraid and will then give back your child."
Shortly after Death arrived, he asked the poor mother,
"How did you find your way here?"
"I am a mother,"
she answered. At once, the mother grabbed two beautiful flowers in her hands and cried out,
"Give me back my child, or I will tear up these flowers."
Death said,
"Do not hurt them. You are unhappy. But do you want another mother to be unhappy too?"
"No!"
The mother hesitantly exclaimed and let the flowers go.
"All right,"
Death said,
I will give your eyes back right away.
Immediately, the mother could see more clearly than even before. Then, Death pointed at a well in the garden and continued,
Now, please look into this well.
The mother looked down and saw the futures of 2 children. One was full of happiness and love, and the other was full of misery and despair. Death gently said,
Either of them could be the future of your child, if he were to live.
The mother screamed out in fear.
Which of them belongs to my child? It would be better to carry my child into God's kingdom than to allow him to suffer such a miserable life.
Death said,
But I don't understand. Do you want your child back? Or should I carry him away to the unknown land?
The mother wrung her hands, fell to her knees, and cried,
I would rather my child be in paradise than live and endure a miserable life.
Finally, Death carried the sick little child to the heavenly kingdom. The mother sadly went back to her house, praying to God for her child's better life in the paradise.
Theme in Yellow, written by Carl Sandburg. I spot the hills with yellow balls in autumn. I like the prairie cornfields, orange and tawny gold clusters. And I am called Pumpkins. On the last of October, when dusk is fallen, children join hands and circle round me, singing ghost songs and love to the harvest moon. I am a jack-o'-lantern with terrible teeth, and the children know I am fooling.
My Friend the Ghost, written by Curtis Norris.
Happy Halloween, Eddie,
said the voice over the phone.
It's me, Martin. Meet me at the corner in 5 minutes.
What will you be wearing?
Eddie asked.
I'm a ghost this year,
said Martin.
You'll love my costume.
5 minutes later, Eddie walked to the corner of the street in his pirate outfit. He saw his friend, the ghost, waiting alone.
Hi, Martin,
he said.
Boy, that's a great costume. So real.
The ghost said nothing, but pointed at the first house.
Yeah,
said Eddie.
Let's start trick-or-treating.
They went to the first house and rang the doorbell. A pretty lady opened the door, and Eddie said,
Trick-or-treat!
But Martin only said,
Whoa!
The lady gave Martin a candy bar, but he did not want it. He shook his head and pointed to Eddie's basket. So the lady gave Eddie the second bar as well. On the sidewalk, Eddie asked,
Hey, Martin, why didn't you take your candy?
The ghost just said,
Wow!
and pointed to the next house. The same thing happened there. Martin refused his candy and let Eddie have it instead.
Gosh, Martin,
Sighed Eddie.
you are acting strangely. Are you okay?
The ghost just said,
Ooh!
and pointed to the next house. So they went from house to house, with Eddie getting double the candy and Martin taking none. At last, they came to the corner of the street. Eddie noticed another ghost standing there.
Where have you been?
Cried the new ghost.
I've been waiting.
But who are you?
Asked Eddie, confused.
It's me, Martin.
Answered the second ghost.
Then, who's this?
Eddie stuttered and pointed to the first ghost.
I thought it was you, Martin.
The first ghost pulled off his sheet. It was George from school, holding his jaw with a bad toothache. No wonder he didn't want any candy.
Together We Play. Written by Leanne Thompson. It's a beautiful autumn day. The sun shines her gentle light. The gentle breezes run freely through the jungle. All the animals are gathering for a good time. The kangaroo jumps, taking big leaps forward. The squirrel juggles, throwing nuts up and down. The bear spins the hoop, moving round and round. The monkey eats bananas, taking bite after bite. Everyone is happy but Tiger. He never smiles.
Tiger, do you want to jump with me?
Asks the kangaroo.
Let's juggle some nuts,
Says the squirrel.
Why don't we spin the hoops together, Tiger?
The bear suggests. The monkey also tries.
Shall we eat bananas?
Tiger gets angry and he screams.
No! Leave me alone!
He thinks,
I am the king of the jungle. I don't want to play with them. I need to show them my power.
Then he goes back to sleep. Suddenly, a little mouse bumps into Tiger. The little mouse quickly apologizes and asks,
Mr. Tiger, why don't you play on this beautiful day?
Tiger shakes his head.
I don't want to play.
The little mouse doesn't give up.
Play with me, Mr. Tiger. Play with me.
After a while, Tiger finally agrees.
Let's go down the slide, Mr. Tiger.
The little mouse is excited. Tiger follows the little mouse and climbs on the slide.
Oh! Ouch!
Tiger falls. His legs point up. Little mouse can't stop giggling.
Mr. Tiger, let's try again.
The tiger goes and he falls again. But instead of being angry, he laughs out loud. This is the first time other animals see Tiger laugh. They are very surprised. They all burst into laughter. Their happiness fills the air and lifts the sky. Now, Tiger knows how fun playing with everyone can be.
The Dog and the Donkey. Written by Leanne Thompson. Once, there was a man who traveled with his donkey and his dog. One day, he stopped on the way and rested under a tree. When the man was taking a nap, the donkey ran to a green field of fresh grass nearby. Meanwhile, the dog was so hungry, but his food was still on the donkey's back. The dog tried to wait for their owner to wake up. His stomach began to growl very loudly, but his owner was still sleeping. The dog ran to the donkey's side and said,
Hey, donkey, can you please lower your back so that I can reach the food? I am starving.
The donkey ignored him and continued eating grass. The dog raised his voice to beg again. This time, the donkey looked up and replied,
Our owner will get up soon. Let's wait a bit longer.
Couldn't change the donkey's mind. The dog lay on the grass and waited. Suddenly, from afar came a wolf. As the hungry wolf got closer, the donkey yelled,
This wolf will eat me alive. Dog, please wake our owner up. Wolf! Wolf! Owner, there's a wolf! Wolf!
The dog immediately barked. The man rose up with a cane in his hand. The wolf got scared and ran off. The donkey was ashamed of what he did to the dog. He came close to the owner and lowered his back. The owner understood and took out the food. The dog jumped happily. Then they enjoyed lunch together. From then on, the donkey and the dog became best friends. They always helped each other on the trips with their owner.
Loose Tooth, written by Curtis Norris. One day, a very strange thing happened to Tom on the playground. His tooth began to wiggle. He could move it back and forth with his tongue. His tooth was really loose. Tom was very worried.
Dad will be really angry that I didn't take care of my teeth,
he thought. How would he tell his dad that his teeth were getting loose? After school, he walked home slowly. His tongue kept moving the loose tooth back and forth. He realized the tooth was getting looser.
What if I lost all of my teeth?
He wondered.
How will I be able to eat then?
At last, Tom arrived home. His dad was in the living room.
How was your day?
He asked. Tom did not answer for a long time. Then he started to cry and said,
My tooth is loose.
Dad chuckled and hugged Tom.
Don't cry, Tom,
he said.
Your tooth is supposed to be loose. It is your baby tooth, and it is loose because you are growing up.
Tom wiped his tears and asked,
Is it? But how will I eat with no teeth?
He was still very worried. Dad patted his head and said,
Don't worry. When this tooth falls out, you will grow a new, bigger tooth that will not fall out.
Tom smiled.
Wow! Really?
Yes,
said his father.
but the new tooth will be the last tooth you get for the rest of your life. So, you must take good care of it. Do you know how?
Tom did know how.
Brush my teeth after eating,
he said.
That's right.
Said Dad.
And don't eat too many sugary snacks. Fruit is much better for your teeth than candy.
Tom agreed to take good care of his teeth. That night as he lay in bed, he wiggled his little loose tooth and dreamed about the new big boy smile he would have someday.
Don't Wake Up the Baby, written by Caspian Scott. Isabella is putting the baby to sleep. Thankfully, she is sleeping now. Suddenly, Don't Wake Up the Baby, written by Caspian Scott. Isabella is putting the baby to sleep. Thankfully, she is sleeping now. Suddenly, a car honks its horn outside. Thankfully, the baby is still asleep. Suddenly, the alarm clock goes off. Thankfully, the baby is still asleep. Suddenly, the telephone starts ringing. Thankfully, the baby is still asleep. Then a mosquito flies by, making a buzzing sound. Oh no! This time the baby starts crying. She is awake now.
The Busy Owl, written by Leanne Thompson. The moon and the stars have come. Chicken goes to bed. Tomorrow he will be busy. He will wake the sun up. But for now, the moon and the stars have come. The moon and the stars have come. The bees go to bed. Tomorrow they will be busy. They will make honey. But for now, the moon and the stars have come. The moon and the stars have come. The farmer goes to bed. Tomorrow he will be busy. He will work on his paddy field. But for now, the moon and the stars have come. The moon and the stars have come. Little girl goes to sleep. Tomorrow she will be busy. She will go to school. But for now, the moon and the stars have come. The moon and the stars have come. Mommy goes to sleep. Tomorrow, she will be busy. Good night, Mommy. The moon and the stars have come. Owl wakes up. Tonight, he will be busy. He looks after everyone. The moon and the stars have come.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. You are very, very far. The pretty sun is going soon. A little twinkle can be seen. There are people in the boat. They can see you twinkle so. They are happy in the night, just to see your little light.
Icarus, the boy who flew too high. Once there was a man named Phaeton who had a very important job. Every day, Phaeton had to ride a chariot that pulled the sun across the sky. Otherwise, there would be no sunlight, which the crops needed to grow and people needed to survive. Because of this, Phaeton never got a holiday. His son, Icarus, was very proud of him. Icarus loved to boast to his friends about his father's important job.
Oh, that's nothing,
one boy told Icarus.
My father is the driver of the Queen's golden chariot.
Icarus looked at his friend and asked,
Do you think driving the Queen around is as important as driving the sun across the sky to bring light and heat to the world?
Well, when you put it that way, I guess not,
said the boy. One day, Icarus told his friends about how his father could not take any vacation from his job.
Well, why don't you offer to drive the chariot for him sometimes?
One of them asked, hoping Icarus would do this and get into trouble. Icarus liked the idea very much. He could already see himself racing across the sky and telling the horses where to go.
Okay, I will ask him,
Icarus said. That evening, Icarus spoke to his father.
Papa, can I drive the chariot for you tomorrow?
Icarus, my dear son,
his father replied.
You're not ready for such a big job. The whole world counts on me to make the sun rise in the east, to lead it across the sky, and to let it set in the west.
But why, Papa? Please let me. I can handle it,
Icarus said.
You heard me,
his father said.
If you improve your grades, maybe.
Icarus was determined to drive the chariot, so he did the best he could in school. But it was not good enough. His classmate kept teasing him and asking when he was going to drive the chariot. One evening, Icarus asked his father how he drove the chariot across the sky. His father explained,
You have to be very careful with the horses, because they are very powerful. You have to guide them gently. Don't rush them, or the sun will set too quickly in some places and rise too early in the others.
Icarus had never thought about that. The father continued,
Then you can't fly too high, or you won't be able to breathe and will be faint. You also can't drive too close to the earth, or the sun will burn up the crops and the people.
Icarus listened carefully. This was really an important job. Maybe he should not do what he was planning. But then he remembered the teasing of his classmates. Also, he wanted to know what it was like to ride the chariot. Very early the next morning, before his father woke up, Icarus crept out of bed and hitched the horses to the chariot. Then he grabbed the reins and was off up into the sky. It felt good to be flying above the whole world. Icarus whipped the horses to make them go faster. The people on Earth were surprised that the sun seemed to rise extra early that day. Then all sorts of strange things began to happen. The sun shone for only a short time in some places. In others, the heat began to scorch crops, and people had to stay indoors because it was too hot. Icarus was finding it was hard to control the horses. Oh no! He let them fly too high, so he fainted. Without guidance, the horses went wherever they liked. They headed east, so the other side grew dark. Then they headed west, and the sun set too early. Then they headed east again, and the sun rose once more. Everyone was confused. They didn't know when to get up, get to work, go to school, or go to bed. After a while, Icarus woke up. He was very scared for what he had done. He tried to control the horses and headed back home. When Icarus was back, his father angrily asked,
Why on earth did you do something like that?
I'm sorry, Papa. I just wanted to show my friends that I could drive the chariot like you.
Well, now you know why I can't let you drive the chariot for a very, very long time,
said his father.
I understand, Papa.
Icarus agreed. Icarus now knew that what he did was not only foolish, but also dangerous. As he went off to bed, he promised himself never to do anything like that, except with his father's permission.
The Emperor and the Nightingale, written by Cliff Brown. Once there was an emperor who loved music. He even collected wind chimes so he could hear their lovely melodies. Next to the palace, there was a large garden where a nightingale lived. A gardener took care of the garden and the nightingale every day. The nightingale sang very beautifully. Its songs made the gardener and other plants happy. One day, the emperor read a book about nightingales and the beautiful songs they sang. He said to himself, "I must have a nightingale." The emperor called his servant and said, "Find a nightingale and bring it to me." While searching for a nightingale, the servant and a guard met the gardener and asked for her help. She smiled and said, "There is a nightingale in the garden. Follow me." Soon they came to the nightingale. It was singing beautiful songs. Hearing that, the servant exclaimed, "Such sweet music!" Then he said to the nightingale, "The emperor really wants to hear you sing. Would you like to come and sing for him?" The nightingale thought for a while and said, "Yes, I will go to the emperor and sing for him." It bid goodbye to the gardener and followed the servant to the emperor. When the emperor saw the nightingale, he said, "Oh, such a small bird. I wonder if you can sing beautiful songs." Just then, the nightingale started to sing. Its sweet songs made the emperor overjoyed. The emperor asked the servant to prepare the finest cage for the nightingale. But the nightingale said, "Please don't lock me up. I promise to come and sing for you every morning." The emperor happily agreed. The courtiers heard about the emperor's love of nightingales. They gave the emperor a mechanical golden bird that could sing as beautifully as the nightingale. The emperor was so excited with the mechanical golden bird. He showed it to the nightingale and said, "Unlike you, this golden bird can sing for me all day." Hearing that, the nightingale felt very sad. The next day, the nightingale decided to leave the palace. But it did not come back to the garden. It decided to live freely in a forest. The gardener was worried about the nightingale. One day, the mechanical golden bird broke and was no longer able to sing. The emperor was sad. He missed the sweet songs of the nightingale, so he ordered his servant to go and look for the nightingale. The servant and the guard went back to the garden and asked the gardener for help, but she sadly replied, "Sorry, I can't help you this time. I don't know where it is." The emperor longed for the nightingale so much that he became ill. One day, while lying in bed, the emperor suddenly heard the nightingale singing. He said to himself, "Is that the little nightingale?" The nightingale had heard that the emperor was sick and missed its beautiful songs, so the nightingale decided to come back and sing for him. The songs of the nightingale made the emperor feel much better. He said to the nightingale, "Oh, my little friend, I'm so sorry for letting you go. Please come and sing for me every morning." The nightingale happily agreed. From then on, the nightingale decided to live in a magnolia tree by the palace window. It kept its promise, singing beautiful songs for the emperor every day.
Messy Pete, written by Curtis Norris. Pete was a nice and friendly boy who liked to do many things. Messy Pete, written by Curtis Norris. Pete was a nice and friendly boy who liked to do many things. But Pete had a problem. He was very, very messy. His hair was messy. His clothes were messy. Even his face was messy. Pete's bedroom was a complete mess. The floor was so covered with toys and clothes that he could never find the things he wanted. His bed was the same, never made and full of socks. Pete's closet was even worse. Everything he didn't want anymore was shoved inside. Whenever he opened the door, everything spilled out onto the already messy floor. His desk at school was no better. It was stuffed with papers and books and every little thing that he collected. His desk was so full, he could never find his homework. It was a real problem. One night, as Pete tried to sleep in the pile of things on his bed, some messy goblins appeared. "You are the messiest boy in the world," they sang. "We love you, and we'll take you to our messy kingdom." Pete was afraid. He didn't want to live with the goblins. "No!" he cried. "I will not go with you. I will change. I will not be messy anymore." The goblins were glad to hear this. Then they left Pete's room. The very next morning, Pete woke up and made his bed. Then he put all his toys away and got his closet in order. Then he washed his face, combed his hair, and put on clean clothes. At school, he cleaned out his desk so that everything inside was neat and tidy. Everyone was so happy to see the new Pete. He was never messy again, and the goblins never returned.
The Monster and the Farmer, written by Catherine Osornio. There once lived a farmer in a village. He was famous for being hardworking and very clever. Nearby, there was a mean monster that often harmed the crops. One evening, the monster appeared in the farmer's field and yelled, "Here's a new field to destroy!" The farmer was very scared. The farmer brought out a chest of gold and said, "Here's my savings. Please take it and leave my field alone." The monster laughed. He had no use for money. "Give me food for the next 3 harvests, or I will destroy your field," the monster ordered. "After a month, I will come back to take all that grows on the ground." Thinking for a while, the farmer nodded and agreed. When it was harvest time, the monster was back. But all he got were the radish greens that grew on the ground. The monster was mad. He said, "Next time, I want the roots that grow under the ground." The next harvest time came, and the monster was back again. But all he got were the rice roots that grew under the ground. The monster was angry. He said,
"Next time, I want the roots and the leaves."
Soon, the next harvest came, and the monster returned. The farmer said, "As promised, I only took the corn cobs. All the leaves, stalks, and roots are for you." Then the monster realized that the clever farmer had fooled him, but he could not do anything. Angry, the monster went far away and was never seen again.
Private Things, written by Curtis Norris. Evie and Nat are sisters. Evie is 6 years old and Nat is 8. Nat can write very well already. Every day, she writes in a special book she calls her diary. Evie is very curious about her sister's book.
Let me read your book,
Evie said to Nat.
No, it's my diary. Only I may read it,
said Nat. This made Evie want to read the book even more. What could be inside it? One day, Nat was visiting her friend down the street. Evie was alone in their bedroom. Evie knew that Nat kept her diary in the closet under her sweaters. Maybe she could take a peek. Evie pulled a chair to the closet. She stood on the chair so she could reach the top shelf. She moved the sweaters. There was Nat's secret book. Evie took the book and hopped off of the chair. Then she climbed onto her bed and started to read. She could not understand all the words, but she understood some. Nat's book was so interesting. Suddenly, Nat opened the bedroom door.
Hey!
She shouted.
What are you doing? That's my diary! Put it down!
Evie jumped in surprise. Why was Nat so angry? She began to cry loudly. Then Mom came into the room.
What's all this?
She asked.
Evie read my diary!
Cried Nat.
Why can't I read her book?
Said Evie with a sniffle. Mom sat down on the bed between the two girls.
Evie,
said Mom.
Some things are private. Nat's diary is just for her. We don't read other people's private things. You wouldn't like it if Nat read your diary, would you?
But I don't have a diary,
said Evie.
Well, maybe you should have one,
said their mother. So they went to the store and Evie picked out a pretty little book with flowers on the front. Now Evie has had her own diary and Nat has had hers. Evie put all her ideas and secrets in her book. She never read Nat's diary again, and Nat did not read Evie's diary either. They both had their private things.
Stranger Outdoor, written by Mary Blake. Mom and Dad were leaving to visit Grandpa and Grandma for the day.
Remember, the Bradshaws are right next door,
said Mom.
Don't open the door to strangers,
said Dad. Mom and Dad drove away. The children were excited. Being left alone made them feel all grown up, but not too grown up to play tag in the living room. Later, there was a knock at the door.
Pizza delivery,
a voice called.
I'll get it,
said Meg.
No, let me check,
said Roy, running to the door.
We didn't order pizza,
called Roy, peering through the peephole.
You sure?
asked the man.
I'm sure.
Oh, wrong house. Sorry,
said the man, walking away.
But I wanted pizza,
said Meg.
But it's not our pizza,
said Roy.
Besides, how do you know he's really a pizza man?
Tag, you're it,
said Meg, and away they ran. Knock, knock. Again, there was someone at the door.
Delivery for you. Some kind of toy.
A toy?
Said Meg, hurrying delightedly to the door.
No, Meg!
Roy ran ahead of her.
Don't open the door to strangers. We didn't order anything,
said Roy, seeing through the peephole that it was the same man.
Maybe it's a gift,
said the man.
It's addressed to this house.
Leave it at the door then,
said Roy. The man shrugged his shoulders and walked away. Roy called Mrs. Bradshaw.
You were right, Roy,
she said.
If he comes again, call right away and I'll send Mr. Bradshaw.
See, Meg?
Said Roy.
Never open the door to strangers. Sometimes they're just not good people.
No, I won't,
said Meg.
But I am really, really hungry.
Okay then,
said Roy, laughing.
Chef Roy's special homemade pizza coming right up.
$10. Written by Curtis Norris.
One day, James was walking home from school. As he walked, he looked down at the ground. There were so many interesting things to see. You can find smooth stones, little flowers, and green leaves, just to name a few. Suddenly, James noticed something different. It was green and flat, but it was not a leaf. It was money. He quickly picked it up and looked closely. It was a $10 bill. He held the bill tightly and hurried home. All the way home, he thought about what he could buy with so much money. Maybe some candy and a toy. Rushing through the door at home, James shouted,
Mom! Take me to the store quickly! I want to go shopping!
Good heaven,
said Mom.
why are you so excited?
I'm rich!
James cried, holding up the crisp green money.
Where did you get that?
Asked his mom.
I found it on the street,
said James.
I found it and now it's mine.
But James,
said his mom,
someone lost that money and they will need it. You should find out who lost it and give it back to them.
James was sad. He wanted that money for himself.
We'll make a sign and put it where you found the money.
Mom said.
If no one comes to get it, then you can keep it.
James agreed, but was still not happy. When James went to put the sign out on the street, he found a little girl crying by the curb.
What's wrong?
He asked.
I've lost $10.
She cried.
It was my birthday present.
James touched the $10 bill in his pocket. He wanted to keep it, but he felt sorry for the little girl. So, James took out the money and said,
Is this the money you lost?
Yes!
said the girl with a huge smile.
You can have it back,
said James. She took the money and gave him a big hug.
Thank you!
She screamed.
Come have some ice cream with me. My treat.
James was happy he did the right thing. It was even better than having $10.
The Clever Rabbit and the Lion. Written by Allie Bank. Once, there lived a lion in the forest.
He often chased and ate other animals. All the animals were scared of the lion and ran away when they saw him. One day, the animals saw the lion again, so they quickly ran and hid. While running away, they saw a rabbit eating a carrot under a tree. The tortoise hurried to the rabbit. He yelled out, "Run, rabbit! Run! The lion is coming!" The rabbit calmly said to the tortoise, "I am tired of running away from the bad lion. Today, I will teach him a lesson." The tortoise thought, "He is crazy!" and ran away. Soon, the lion came near the rabbit's place. He roared and yelled, "Where are you all? I am so hungry now." Bravely, the rabbit jumped out in front of the lion and said, "Hey, Mr. Lion, if you are hungry, you can eat me. A big lion told me that rabbit meat is very tasty." The lion angrily roared, "A big lion? I am the only lion in this forest. Show me that lion, or I will eat you right now." The rabbit said, "Follow me." The rabbit led the bad lion to a river. Then he said, "That big lion lives under the water." The bad lion looked into the water and roared when he saw the big lion. The big lion roared too. The bad lion got very angry. The bad lion jumped into the water to fight the big lion. The bad lion did not know that the lion in the river was his own reflection. A strong current of water soon carried him away. All the animals happily thanked the clever rabbit. From that day on, they lived in peace and never saw the lion again.
My Future Job. Written by Leanne Thompson. Illustrated by Agnes White. I ask my doll, "Who do you want to be when you grow old?" We can try many things. Let's say you are having a cold. I put on my white coat, then listen to your heartbeat. Now you need to go home, and don't forget to eat. Being a doctor is fun, but I can be a teacher too. You are all my students. Now listen, 1 + 1 = 2. Teaching makes me hungry. I can cook for myself. I will become a chef because my food has a good smell. Now I am full again. Let's come back to role play. I can draw a yellow sun. I will become a painter one day. I paint a lot and a lot. I hum a few tunes, and my voice is so soft. I will become a singer soon. I can sing while traveling. I bring people to amazing places. I will be a tour guide in summer and spring. On my trip, I see nature. I can take a lot of photos. Then I will be a photographer. My friends can be in my picture too. I play quite long in the garden. I build and build a Lego house. One day, I will be an architect to build my friends a place to play around. There are so many things to do. Tomorrow when I grow up, all my dreams will come true if today I study hard enough.
Who's in the Water? Written by Leanne Thompson. Baby elephant went out with mommy elephant for the first time. He was so curious that he looked at everything. But when he looked into the river, he got surprised.
Mommy, I saw someone underwater.
he told his mom. Mommy Elephant smiled and said, "That's you." Baby Elephant looked at himself again. His 2 tusks were so beautiful.
Why do we have our tusks, Mommy?
He asked. His mom answered, "They are our 2 teeth, sweetie." Baby Elephant looked at himself once more. His trunk was so long.
Why do we have our trunks, Mommy?
He asked. His mom answered, "They are our nose and upper lip, sweetie." And then his mom told him, "Our trunks can do many things, sweetie." Baby Elephant got excited. He said,
"Yes, Mommy. We breathe with our trunks. We shower with our trunks. And we greet someone with our trunks, too."
That's right, sweetie. And don't forget, we can also pick fruits and leaves with them. And I can caress you with my trunk. Mommy Elephant smiled.
But our legs are too big. They're not beautiful at all.
Baby Elephant got sad. His mom explained, "Our legs are big so that we can carry wood."
"Oh, I will be strong and I will carry wood too,"
Baby Elephant said. "Yes, I believe in you. Now let's have lunch," Mommy Elephant told her baby.
My Big Brother, written by Curtis Norris. Hi, my name is Archie, and I am 6 years old. This is my brother, Paul. Paul is 8. Paul is older than me, so I call him my big brother. I am younger than Paul, so I am his little brother. It is great to have a big brother. I am never lonely. Even when there are no friends around, I can always play with him. He teaches me a lot of fun games that we can play together. My big brother is strong and brave. He always protects me from angry dogs or bullies. He would never let anyone or anything hurt me. I am never afraid when my big brother is by my side. My big brother is smart too. He is in the 3rd grade already. He always helps me with my homework. Once I don't know anything like math or spelling, I can ask him. He is always patient with me. Sometimes Paul wants to play with his own friends. They are all older, like he is. But Paul always lets me come along and join in the fun. He doesn't mind having his little brother around. My big brother is my best friend. When I am sad, he makes me smile. When I am scared, he makes me brave. He tells me his secrets and shares everything he has with me. I know he will always be there for me. My friend Danny does not have a big brother. He has a big sister. I wonder if a big sister is as good as a big brother. He says it is the same. What do you think? Maybe someday Mom and Dad will have another baby. Then I can be a big brother too. I hope that I can be as good of a big brother as Paul is to me.
The Mushroom Soup, written by Leanne Thompson. Squirrel saw a huge mushroom on his way home. He wanted to make some mushroom soup, but Squirrel had a basket full of hazelnuts. He did not need the mushroom. He brought it to Hedgehog's house. Hedgehog saw a huge mushroom on his doorstep. He did not need the mushroom. He brought it to Chickling's house. Hedgehog left the mushroom with a note.
Enjoy.
Chickling saw a huge mushroom on her doorstep. She did not need the mushroom, but Uncle Bear was ill. He needed it. Chickling brought the mushroom to Uncle Bear's house. Squirrel and Hedgehog were helping Uncle Bear clean the floor. Uncle Bear saw Chickling and a huge mushroom. He said,
"Thank you, child. Where did you get this huge mushroom?"
Hedgehog chuckled. Hedgehog brought it to Chickling's house. Squirrel laughed. Squirrel brought it to Hedgehog's house. Everyone was happy. Chickling thanked Hedgehog. Hedgehog thanked Squirrel. Uncle Bear told all of them,
"You are all nice kids. Now I will make a huge pot of mushroom soup, and let's enjoy it together."